The morning sun poured golden light across the airport runway as passengers hurried toward their flights, never imagining that one ordinary journey would soon become a story they would remember for the rest of their lives. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can change someone's destiny and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from, share this story with someone you love, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales for more unforgettable stories that warm the heart. Miles Rowan adjusted the small backpack resting on his shoulder while gently holding his 7-year-old daughter Nora's hand. Since losing his wife 3 years earlier, every day had become a careful balancing act between being both father and mother. His clothes were simple, his shoes slightly worn, and exhaustion quietly hid beneath his calm smile. Most people who glanced at him saw only another struggling single parent trying to keep life together. None of them knew that before tragedy changed everything, Miles had served his country as one of its finest fighter pilots, walking away from the military after his wife's illness demanded every moment he had. He never regretted choosing family over medals, but he had learned that the world often judged people by appearances instead of sacrifices. Their seats happened to be beside Everett Caldwell, the celebrated CEO of a billion-dollar technology company. Dressed in a tailored suit and surrounded by expensive gadgets, Everett carried himself with the confidence of a man who believed success made him superior. The moment he noticed Miles carefully folding a child's blanket and reassuring Nora about her fear of flying, irritation crossed his face. In his mind, children belonged in another cabin, and people with modest lives simply slowed the world down. Throughout boarding, he rolled his eyes each time Nora asked an innocent question, convinced that the quiet father beside him represented everything weak about modern society. Miles ignored every disapproving glance. His attention never drifted far from Nora, who clutched a stuffed rabbit while watching clouds gather outside the window. He spoke softly about how airplanes floated because of science and trust, hoping to replace her fear with wonder. Across the aisle, several passengers smiled at the gentle father, while Everett buried himself in financial reports, believing productivity mattered far more than compassion. After takeoff, the aircraft climbed smoothly into the bright blue sky. Sunlight shimmered across endless clouds, creating a peaceful scene that seemed untouched by worry. Flight attendants served drinks, travelers watched movies, and children slowly relaxed into their seats. For a brief moment, it appeared to be nothing more than another ordinary daytime flight. Everything changed less than an hour later. The aircraft suddenly lurched so violently that drinks spilled across tray tables. Oxygen masks remained hidden, but worried expressions spread instantly through the cabin. The engines continued running, yet the plane dipped sharply before correcting itself. Nervous whispers replaced quiet conversations as another powerful jolt shook everyone awake. Then the captain's voice echoed through the cabin, sounding far different from the calm professionalism passengers expected. There had been a serious medical emergency in the cockpit. The first officer was struggling alone while trying to communicate with ground control. The captain urgently asked whether there was any qualified fighter pilot or military pilot on board who could immediately assist. Silence fell over the cabin. People looked around with frightened eyes, hoping someone else would stand. Everett's confidence disappeared completely. His hands trembled as he realized money, influence, and business success meant absolutely nothing 30,000 feet above the ground. Without hesitation, Miles gently squeezed Nora's shoulder, whispered that he loved her more than anything in the world, and calmly stood. He showed his military identification, explaining to the nearest flight attendant that although he had retired several years earlier, he had spent nearly 2 decades flying advanced fighter aircraft under the most demanding conditions imaginable. Shock spread through nearby passengers. The ordinary single father everyone had overlooked suddenly became the only person capable of helping save hundreds of lives. Escorted quickly toward the cockpit, Miles disappeared behind the secured door. Inside, alarms flashed while the exhausted first officer struggled to manage complicated procedures after the captain suffered a sudden heart attack. Training buried deep inside Miles returned instantly. Years of discipline replaced years of grief. His hands moved confidently across unfamiliar commercial aircraft controls, while coordinating with air traffic controllers and emergency specialists below. Back in the cabin, Nora quietly hugged her stuffed rabbit, trusting her father with complete faith. Everett couldn't stop staring toward the cockpit. Every cruel assumption he had made about the quiet man now echoed painfully inside his conscience. He remembered every dismissive look, every judgment, every moment he had mistaken humility for weakness. Minutes felt like hours. Passengers held hands, prayed silently, and watched through windows as the aircraft gradually descended toward the nearest airport. Fire trucks lined the runway below while emergency crews waited for whatever outcome awaited them. Hearts pounded as the landing gear extended. The plane touched the runway harder than usual, bounced once, then settled firmly onto the ground before slowing safely to a stop. Cheers erupted instantly. Many passengers cried openly. Others embraced complete strangers, overwhelmed with relief. Every single person aboard understood they had just witnessed extraordinary courage hidden beneath the appearance of an ordinary father. When the cabin doors finally opened, medical teams rushed inside to assist the captain while applause thundered through the aircraft. Miles quietly returned to Nora, kneeling to hug her before anyone else. She wrapped her arms around him with tears of joy, whispering that she had known he would come back because heroes always kept their promises. Everett slowly approached, no longer looking like an untouchable executive. His eyes filled with genuine regret as he admitted that he had judged a man whose greatest achievements could never be measured by wealth or status. He confessed that he had spent years building companies but had forgotten how to recognize true character. That day, he learned that the strongest people often carry the quietest burdens. In the weeks that followed, news of the emergency landing spread across the country. Reporters celebrated the retired fighter pilot who had saved an entire flight, but Miles declined fame. He returned to the simple life he loved most, walking Nora to school, helping with homework, and honoring the memory of the wife who had inspired every selfless choice he made. Yet one unexpected blessing remained. Everett transformed his company culture, creating scholarships and employment programs for military families and single parents, always remembering the man who had taught him that greatness wears many different faces. Special request: comment below with true heroes wear humility if you believe kindness and courage matter more than wealth or appearances. As the sun set on that unforgettable day, hundreds of passengers carried home more than relief. They carried a lesson that would stay with them forever. Never underestimate the quiet person sitting beside you, because behind ordinary clothes may live extraordinary strength, and behind silent sacrifices may stand the hero who saves your life when hope seems lost. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales so together we can continue sharing stories that remind the world that kindness, humility, and love will always rise higher than pride.